Kia is currently redesigning its entire sedan lineup. Say goodbye to the Optima, say goodbye to the Forte, because now they'll be known respectively as the K5 and the K4. Hey guys, it's Chris. In this video, I have the 2025 Kia K4 EX at a value price of $25,000. I'm going to show you guys all the various features, take it on a drive, and give you guys my final verdict to see how it compares in a very crowded segment with plenty of gas and hybrid options. But you know what? It does have a remote start, so we're going to lock the doors, hold down the key fob, boom! Now that's what I'm talking about. But now, let's go ahead, drum roll, get into this review. Whoa! Look on the outside of the 2025 Kia K4 EX. This is your key fob with the Kia logo. You have your lock, unlock, trunk release, and panic button with your remote start feature on this side of the key fob. As equipped, this vehicle is $25,320, dressed in a deep sea blue exterior on a gray, medium gray cloth interior. Now, just like the Optima transitioned over to the K5 name, the Forte is now transitioned over to the K4 nomenclature. Now, looking at the exterior design, you have a full LED headlight setup right here, which is very Sorrento inspired. You have your amber DRLs, which doubles as your turn signals, and LED low and high beams right there. Your Kia logo is front and center with a new interpretation of the Kia Tiger Nose grille. You also have a sensor for your Kia DriveWise driver assist technology, which will trap on the road. Not to say for overall exterior looks, I do prefer the previous generation a little bit more, especially in that GT trim. Now, coming over here to the wheels, we have a 17-inch aero spoke gloss black wheel wrapped in a all-season tire. Your mirror cast right here with blind spot information. Keyless entry for the front door handles are right here. Now, this is your window sticker. Check out the description below for all options and features of this particular version right here. Now, you will have a moonroof as an option on a GT line and GT line turbo, which will be coming at the end of this year and early next year for the turbo version, respectively. That will definitely improve the cabin overall ambiance and feeling and give you a more airy feeling inside the cabin. Now, overall vehicle length is 185.4 inches long from nose to tail. Also, over here on the driver's side, you do have a 12.4 gallon gas tank. Also inspired from the EV6's integrated rear door handles into the pillar right here. Kind of does also remind me of my Veloster as well. Kind of giving this rear like 3/4 view, like a nice clean and aggressive stance right here. Now, coming around to the rear design, you have an LED taillight setup right here for your rear running lights with halogen turn signals and reverse lights, as well as your halogen reverse light, which is further down below right here by the license plate. Opening the trunk, you can use the release right here, or use the smart trunk function if you stand by the vehicle for 3 seconds. Opening the trunk, you will find 14.6 cubic feet of space. You can fold down the seats in a 60-40 split with the releases on both sides. This one does have carpet floor mats right here. You can see my stuff stored out back, as well as a full-size temporary spare tire right here. Correction, just a regular temporary spare tire, not a full size. What am I thinking? I didn't drink my coffee this morning. But now, let me show you guys under the hood where all the action happens. So let's go. Now, under the hood of this version, you have a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder, which makes 147 horsepower with 132 pound-foot of torque. It uses an intelligent variable transmission, which is basically just a Korean CVT transmission, while getting 29 city, 39 highway, and 33 combined, with a curb weight of 2,987 pounds. This is the only engine on offer right now until the GT line turbo does come by early next year, which has a 1.6-liter turbo, just like the Elantra inline, which makes 190 horsepower and uses a 8-speed automatic transmission. Let me get a 3/4 front shot right here. Boom. But now, let's hit the interior where all the action happens. We are going to start in the back seats, of course. Very quirky right here with these handles integrated into the pillars. Sitting behind myself at 5'6", I have about 3.5 to 4 inches of legroom. As far as headroom goes back here, I have about 1.5 to 2 inches of headroom back here for rear seat accommodations. Speaking of minis back here, you have your window controls right here with 2 USB-C ports further down below and a little storage compartment right here. Here's a quick look to the cockpit. Boom. You also have LED illumination up top. But now, let's hit the driver's seat where all the action happens in the new K4. As stated before, this is a medium gray cloth interior. You have 6-way manual adjustable seats for both the driver and front passenger with a manual tilt telescoping steering column right here. You have all your window and mirror controls right here on the door panels with your cluster illumination, electronic parking brake, and traction control functions right there. You also have your hood release button, as well as your gas tank release and trunk release button right down here. Damn, my voice cracked. Stepping inside of the cabin of the new K4, you have this 2-spoke steering wheel right here. Now the Kia logo is kind of like offset right here. I don't know if you guys have like OCD or stuff or whatever, but you'll find that very quirky. You obviously do have all your different driver assist controls, as well as cluster control settings. My media functions over here on my right hand side, as well as my drive mode functions right here. Now this is a 12.3-inch cluster. Let me show you guys the drive modes real quick. So you have a regular normal mode, as well as a sport mode right there. As you can see, the gauge clusters will turn red, meaning sporty and aggressive. You can obviously change your page button and toggle up and down for your various different functions right here. One little Easter egg too is that when I hit the brakes, the little diagram of the K4 will also hit the brakes. A page button right there to pull up all of my MPG settings right here, and trip information, tire pressure settings, and so on. You can go back to your main page right there. You have your light controls, as well as your wipe controls right here. And you also have integrated climate controls right here next to the infotainment, which is also a 12.3-inch display setup. Now you do have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, so I do want to start out with a quick audio test. Keep in mind it does have a 6-speaker sound system, so let's try it out. Now, as far as audio goes, the system definitely gets the job done, but I'm fingers crossed, I'm hoping that the GT Line or the GT Line Turbo will have a Harman Kardon or a Bose sound option to give you like the perfect amount of bass and sound quality. But going back to your main homepage right here, you have your Apple CarPlay functions right there, some phone connection settings, valet mode, vehicle diagnostic settings are right there, service information, notifications, a built-in owner's manuals right there, with your various different setups under the vehicle function right there. So if I go into vehicle, I can change all of my driver assist from my Kia DriveWise driver assist technology. So my smart cruise control functions can be adjusted right there, as far as acceleration, reaction, speed, and so on. Climate control settings, light settings, door settings right there for the smart trunk, and so on. And you also have your convenience settings for your wireless charging pad and service interval, as well as rear occupant alert. Also too, under the settings, let me show you guys too, you can also change and configure your sound system with the bass, the treble, and mid-range, as well as your device connections, user profiles, your various different screen layouts right here, so you can actually change your center cluster setting right here. So this is in a simple mode. You can also go to a circle mode right there. Personally, I prefer the simple mode. You can change all the various different stuff based on your drive modes and so on. Some more cluster settings stuff right there. You also have a preset favorite button right there on the steering wheel, as well as right here in the main dashboard section, which you can change and configure to your liking right here between all these various different menu options and so on. You have all your various different updates, your Kia Connect for your infotainment, and so on. Now looking further down below, you have some shortcut buttons for your infotainment, as well as a dual zone climate control setting right here. We have your temperature, fan speed, as well as your mode. It actually pulls up right here on this side right here. You can adjust whether you sync it. Window defrost right here goes up and down, as well as showing you where it's sending the air at in various different angles. Now looking further down below, you have 2 USB-C ports. Now when it illuminates white, that's just for charging only. Now this USB-C port, if I hit the button and it illuminates orange, that's for charging and connectivity to the infotainment system. You also have a 12-volt charger right here on this side, as well as a wireless phone charging pad right here. Your push button start is also down here as well, which is very quirky. It definitely took me a minute to get used to that. Right next to your gear shifter with your auto hold functions, and a shortcut button right there for your backup camera with your trajectory lines. You can also adjust your various different angles right there. And obviously it does come on when you put the vehicle into gear. We have neutral, and you can see that right there a little bit more. Drive, and over for like a manual mode right there. Now I do like the center console right here where you push these buttons, actually like pop out your cup holders, and you can like slide it back like this. So you can get like all of your storage compartment stuff right here in the center console. And you do have a little more storage integrated right here in this center console. You got your mirror up top, as well as all of your Kia Connect stuff right here for your telematics and so on, with LED illumination up there. But now, let's go ahead and take the new K4 for a drive and see how it does in the real world. So let's go! First, setting up behind the wheel in the new K4. Speaking of visibility out the front, rear, and sides, I can see very good over the hood, as are the side mirrors, and even out the back for a traditional sedan shape like this. Now keep in mind this vehicle is on the same platform as the Hyundai Elantra. Now first, setting off the intelligent variable transmission, which is just a Korean CVT transmission, is very smooth shifting in everyday driving to get you the most optimal amount of MPG, and does also simulate gears in a sport and normal mode to give you that automatic kind of vibe. Now first, setting off, speaking of ride quality, it is great. I do have a McPherson strut suspension up front with a torsion beam rear suspension. Now keep in mind the GT line will have a multi-link rear suspension, which will probably improve ride quality even more. Now speaking a little more about the exterior design of this new K4 right here, it is a very familiar design. The headlights definitely remind me of the Sorento, where the rear reminds me of the Seltos a bit, kind of in line with all different Kia design language that is currently out today. But I do kind of miss that unique look of the last generation, which is like a baby Kia Stinger. And I think in an ideal world, I would probably have the exterior design of the previous generation with the interior of this generation, which is a huge step up. Now speaking about the technology aspect, as we talk about the interior appointments in itself, you have a dual 12.3-inch display setup right here. As you can see, when you do change your various different drive modes, which is between normal and sport right there, you actually change your various different cluster controls and themes. It'll change red to give you a little more of a aggressive look. Now for the infotainment itself, there's just also a 12.3-inch display. You do have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, which does connect very quick. I would say it's probably like Honda speed levels of connectivity into the infotainment. And it goes through a 6-speaker audio system, which I think gets the job done, but isn't the greatest. Fingers crossed the GT Line and GT Line Turbo will have either a Harman Kardon or a Bose option. Now, let's go into DJ mode, because I am DJ Chris, and I'm gonna play you guys a little bit of sound and nature. And that was 1 minute with DJ Chris. Now, how's the weather up there in Waldorf? No! Alright, let's go back to the homepage. But as we just drive a little around town, let's talk a little more about the powertrain itself. It is a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder, makes 147 horsepower, and gets 33 mpg combined. That's 29 city and 39 on the highway. Nearly 40 mpg for a non-hybrid version like this, which I have to say is very impressive. Now, obviously, if you're an enthusiast, you want a little bit more of a sporty engine, you can also go for the GT Line Turbo, which will be coming early next year, and also a sporty looking GT Line, which does give you like a little more of a aggressive exterior with some more beefy wheels. That will actually be coming by the end of this year. but that GT line turbo, I think that's the one that you definitely want. That is the true successor to the Forte GT2 that I reviewed about a year ago, which definitely did have a dated interior, but the performance aspect was definitely there. Now, the GT line turbo will have a 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder, literally the same as the Elantra N-line, makes 190 horsepower, and also too, it will have a multi-link rear suspension, and it'll use a 8-speed automatic transmission versus the 7-speed DCT transmission in the Elantra N. So I'm expecting smoother shifts and more daily driver friendly. Now, still a second ago, all of my drive modes are right here on the steering wheel, so I'm gonna just throw it into sport for a second. And I do want to try a quick acceleration when we get up here. You can also put it into a manual mode, but I'll just leave it in its automatic mode, traction off, and we'll just give it a little bit of acceleration. I have to say, it's actually faster than I thought. I was going to be like extremely gutless, but it actually moves the car very well. Keep in mind the car is about 2,900 pounds, so obviously it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm definitely impressed with this engine for sure. Now, keep in mind this car is about $25,000, so it doesn't have things like power seats or like even heated seats, but I'm quite sure that will come on the GT line turbo and so on, all those higher trims that will be coming. Now, speaking of trims, currently the K4 is available in a base LX, which starts at a price of $22,000. You also have a LXS, and then this EX trim right here. Also, to keep in mind, a moonroof will be an option too on the GT line. I know I probably said GT line at least a million times, but hey, I give you guys all the data statistics so you guys can have all the information you need for your buying process. But literally you have everything right here inside of this infotainment screen for all of your driver assist functions. Everything's very laid out, intuitive, and easy to use. So you can change all your lane safety stuff right there for your full suite of Kia DriveWise driver assist technology. As you see too, the intelligent variable transmission does simulate gears. As stated a second ago, it'll give you like that automatic feel. Now, going back to the topic on the exterior design, I have to say, obviously, as stated before, where I said there's like a lot of styling elements from various different Kia vehicles. It kind of makes the brand more uniform, but I still prefer the previous generation exterior in that GT with this interior right here. This is where it's so superior. Now, let me know in the comments below if any of you guys are a little bit OCD about this kind of Kia logo being like offset over here to the right hand side versus just being straight in the middle of the steering wheel. That's not the only quirky thing I actually noticed about this new K4 as a whole. Also too, the integrated rear door handles into the rear pillars. That's actually very different, very EV6, and even like my Veloster reminds me of that as well. Now, when driving here, also too, in this perspective, you won't be able to see the climate control menus right here, which are blocked by the steering wheel, but when you do adjust the climate controls, it will like pull up inside of the infotainment system right here. Now, this entire segment is filled with many entries in the vehicles. I mean, you have the Volkswagen Jetta like I'm seeing right now with some lovely wheels. Those 17s, those look sweet. But you have things like the Volkswagen Jetta, the Honda Civic, especially in the hybrid trim, the Corolla, as was their hybrid, and literally infinite other vehicles in the segment. So you literally have options. You definitely aren't lacking for options when this compact sedan segment is just extremely active. But what I like about the K4 is that this is a non-hybrid entry, yet it gives pretty impressive MPG, about 40 MPG. Keep in mind the last Civic hybrid, Corolla hybrid, those get about in like the 50s, like low 50s or so. So still, I have to say, not bad at all. Also, too, one thing that's very quirky on the interior as well is the push button start, which is integrated right here in the dashboard. And you can also obviously hit this button right here to activate your rear view camera with all the various different stuff and so on right there. Let's go back into normal mode. You can't see it does a little dance when you change the gauge cluster design. And that little Easter egg too, when you hit the brakes, the little Forte or K4 in the center console just hits the brakes as well. Sport mode. Now, as far as acceleration goes, it's fast enough to get around all these big rigs, and also if you're trying to run away from the person chasing you in the Walmart parking lot. I just had to throw that in there for you. But I'm feeling a little goofy right now. But if you're trying to run away from the person in the Walmart parking lot, you definitely won't have no problem at all when you put that thing in the sport mode. Now, in terms of variable transmission, just blasts off. All right, I'm done with my goofy moment for a second. But even going at a slightly higher pace on the highway, I have to say the cabin's actually pretty refined for what this car is. Now, I did have a couple of chances to drive this vehicle off camera. It was actually a white one. It was a Snow White Pearl exterior, which personally I hate the way the Snow White Pearl does look. I think the red, this deep sea blue, and also the Interstellar Gray are the most ideal color for the new K4 in itself. But since we have traffic in front of us, I want to activate the Kia DriveWise adaptive cruise control. So I'm going to set my speed right here. You can change the following distance all the way out to 1 or all the way down to 4, which I will change right here. So you can go all the way out to 4. I think 2 or 3 is the perfect middle ground for daily driving. It uses the camera up top, as well as the front sensor on the bumper to follow the traffic in front of it. It does a great job of that. As you see right there, I can adjust my speed. And you also have lane keeping assist with steer assist, so if you do veer over, it'll keep you dead straight in your lane. As you can see right there, it'll like pull you back over. I think you can actually go down to 1 following distance. I think 1 following distance is also safe. You obviously can't change like your speed or whatever for how fast it's following the traffic in front of it. So if you go into your settings, you can change that. I have everything on like its faster settings, so it's like more faster and reactive. Now, as we get a little bit closer to the dealership, I want to get to the conclusion of what I think overall about the new K4 in itself. Now, I'm going to be honest, I think that it's lost a little bit of uniqueness in the exterior design department versus the last generation, which is, had like the kind of Kia Stinger vibes a bit in like a front-wheel drive architecture. This is obviously getting in more in line with all the Kia models, which definitely isn't a bad thing, but I definitely will miss that last generation design. But the technology improvements are a major leap. Wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You have all this dual display setup, 12.3 inches for both the cluster as well as the infotainment system right here. Fingers crossed that a Bose or Harman Kardon will come on the higher trim levels to rectify that subpar audio system, if I'm gonna be honest. Ride quality is pretty good for this vehicle right here. And the 2-liter inline 4-cylinder gives great MPG for the amount of power you're getting. Again, this is a $25,000 car. I don't want to be too critical on like certain nitpicks with like heated seats or like power seats and things like that. I'm sure if you go for a higher trim, it will have possible options like that. And with the average transaction price of cars, new cars to be exact, and the $30,000 price tag, this can be a new entry that really can suffice and check all of your boxes that you need in a compact sedan like this. That's all I have to say though about the new K4. I'm gonna wrap up this video. This is Chris signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.